Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 1254. I'm celebrating Women's History Month this March by having 21 inspiring women, the movers and shakers who work in the automotive industry. Here we go.
Once you hit rock bottom, the only way to go is up.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, automotive enthusiasts. I'm revved up and so excited to introduce today's very special guest, calling in from beautiful Bristol, Tennessee, Natalie Tackett. Hey, Natalie, are you buckled up and ready for a fun ride?
I am.
Very cool. Natalie Tackett is the artist and creative spirit behind decorative and restoration art and design business called Brushed, based in Bristol, Tennessee. Most of the time, Natalie works close to home, but travels for special commissions all over North America and has taken on restoration projects worldwide. She's been working on and off in the field of restoration and decorative arts for the past 20 years, but she didn't start her business till about 8 years ago when she built up the courage to work for herself full-time. She credits both of her parents for her creative and artistic genes and for passing on a love for cars, design, and attention to detail. And I'll let our listeners know what's really cool about my conversation today is Natalie's been listening to me, it turns out, for about the last 2 years. So she says she feels like she's talking to an old friend. So I think we're going to have a really grand time together. So Natalie, I've told our listeners just a little bit about you. Would you take a brief moment, share a little bit more about your career, your talents, and your passion for automobiles?
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting. I'm just thrilled to be here. And so I do own a decorative arts company that is located in Bristol, Tennessee. And I've been painting and doing something to do with paint almost all my life. My first recollection of doing any type of finishing work, I was probably 8 or 9, and I started decorating my dollhouse, and and it kind of went on from there. So my experience in the car industry has just been my dad and my parents have always been car nuts, especially my dad, and it kind of rubbed off.
Yeah, I think just a little. Well, your talents are extraordinary and very, very cool, and we're going to learn a lot more about you and your passion for cars and your design skills and your art as we go through your journey. But first, I always like to ask my guests, as you know, as a regular listener, for a success quote or a mantra. This is a nice way to get the inspirational tires turning here on Cars Yeah, the brush strokes going, as we should say. So Natalie, take the wheel.
Onward and upward.
I like that. What does that mean for you?
Well, my mother has said it for years, and it's just something, honestly, from falling down when you stub your toe or proverbially, and you really just try to keep going, onward and upward. There's only one way to go. Once you hit rock bottom, the only way to go is up.
Absolutely. That's what that means to me is the idea that, brush it off and keep going. Learn from that good experience or that poor experience, whatever it might be, and make something of it and move forward. And there's a question I'm going to have for you, as you know, is coming soon. I don't know, the challenge failure question, which sometimes people are kind of a little nervous about. But I think of that question as an onward, upward question. So it's nice to combine that great saying your mom shared with you. Now, as you've built this business and Brushed, how does that relate to how over the last 8 years you've built this business and worked through things that you've had to do?
Oh, boy. It has really, it has tested my mettle. I had really no one to guide me through starting a business, number one, and then to actually be in the arts field, of course, was the biggest challenge. There's a stigma attached to the starving artist, and that's such a negative connotation and holds such has such a negative impact. And so it's been a challenge for me to learn to be a business person as well as be able to express my creative talents. And I find that I'm really a good left brain, right brain person. So I like the details as well as I like the creativity. And I think that's been a real formula for my success.
That's a key thing. As you know, I've had hundreds of artists on the show, and it's the same with restoration business. People who are technical, can build a car, weld on a car, paint a car, whatever it might be. But the business side is a challenge for them. And when they go into business, they don't realize it is a business, quote unquote, and they have to run it as such. And if they stay in that one silo of I'm a technician and they don't get out of that comfort zone and realize I also have to be a business person, they never really grow. They never really get out of their own way. Have you found that?
That's so very true. Yes. It's, especially if you focus on, in my side of things, if you're just creative, it can be really challenging because you need to be able to communicate with your clients. You need to be able to bring the vision to fruition. And if you're just, all of your eggs are in the creative basket, that can be a problem.
Absolutely. What I always suggest to people that might be in that trap is seek help. Talk to people. Now, you said you didn't have that help at the beginning, but you did have some intuitiveness in your brain that you could work on both sides of your skull, as they say. But yeah, if you don't feel like you can, go out there and talk to people, seek help, because you know what? Especially in the automotive world, a lot of people are very, very willing to help you learn what you need to do. If you hate mathematics and numbers, get a bookkeeper, for goodness sake, and let that person keep your books, and don't worry about it. They'll tell you if you're not making enough money or where you should spend your money. And if they're a good bookkeeper, they're a good accountant, or if you're growing to the point of a strong CFO, they can really help you in that way. So yeah, seek help. Good idea. Well, as we continue down this path again, I would love for you to share a story that instigated your personal passion for cars. I know that your father was really into cars and a drag racer, and we're going to learn about that too. But is there a pivotal moment in your life when you knew you were going to be a car gal?
My first memory is probably the best thing to tell you about. And we lived in Olney, Maryland, and I was under 5, probably closer to 3 or 4. And my dad was wrenching on his drag racing car in our garage, which happened to be directly below my bedroom.
Oh, okay. And you could smell the oil and fumes coming up through the windows.
And there was, it must have been 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. The house was completely silent. Of course, I had gone to bed hours before, and there was this banging and clanging coming from the garage. And I got up out of my little pink canopy bed and toddled myself downstairs. And I just opened the garage door and sat on the stoop, just patiently. And my dad looks up from underneath the hood of the car, and he didn't really say anything. He just came over and sat down next to me on the stoop, grabbed a glass Pepsi Cola bottle. So there was like a 6-pack of these bottles on the floor, and you know, no glass, no nothing, just pops the top. And we sat there and we shared this Pepsi bottle back and forth. But it was the smell, the carburetor smell, the gas, the oil, the sounds, you know, the compressor would go off every so often. And that's just instilled in me. And today, even I just renovated a local Goodyear dealership around New Year's time frame. And when that whole time I was there, it was so great because, you know, you go out in the garage area and it's that great smell. It's that car smell. There's nothing like it.
Well, you know, what a magical moment for a little girl or for any child of a parent. And that was a real good testament to your dad, the fact that he took a moment, came over and sat next to you. You know, I think there's some parents that go, get back in bed. You know, what are you doing up in the middle of the night?
He did tell me to go back upstairs.
Oh, did he? Oh.
It wasn't that magical, Mark. He was probably taking a break.
You blew the whole story for me here. Gee, Natalie. Well, you know, it's like one of those Pepsi commercials, you know, I mean, it should have been. Yeah.
It really was, though. I mean, it was neat. But the fact that he's giving me sugar and caffeine at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Hello.
Well, yeah. Good luck getting back to sleep, kid. Yeah. Now you're up there just going, woohoo, this is why I like cars so much. I'm all jacked up now. Yeah. Love that sugar and caffeine. Oh, what a great story. I love it. Thanks for sharing that smile with me. Well, let's take a look at some of the roads you've driven down and talk about a big challenge or a big failure. Now, you've been an entrepreneur now for 8 years. No doubt this is fraught with ups and downs, and any field is a challenge, some more than others, of course. But I'd love for you to walk us through one of those times that kind of pushed you a little bit. Tell us about that. More importantly, what did you learn from it so you could move forward?
Wow. There are so many stories with this, and I really try to honestly try not to look at the bad things and the tragedies and really just try to look forward in a positive way. But
onward and upward.
Onward and upward. But I will tell you an interesting story from my childhood when we got into go-kart racing.
Cool.
And I was the guinea pig kid. And well,
because
I was the
you
eldest.
didn't call yourself a crash dummy. That's good.
Well, okay, almost. And so we started go-kart racing, and I was the guinea pig kid. And our very first race, Dad is pushing the cart. And at that time, they didn't even have the little pushers that you could actually stand and walk. No, he was down on the ground pushing this cart. And he looks over at me when we're really close to the start-finish line, and he says, or the starting grid, and he says, hey, he said, so don't forget, your brake is on your left, your gas is on the right, and I want to see you come across this line first. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh. So I thought to myself, how am I going to do this? So we get going, and we go into the first turn, and I realize I don't have any brakes. Now, I'm 11 or 12, or I don't know what the age range was, but I'm a kid. I have no driving experience. I know nothing. We go through the turns on this track, and then there's a hairpin. And you have to have brakes to go through a hairpin turn, I think. I don't know. I'm not an experienced driver, but I'm thinking that you probably want to have just a tap of the brake going through the hairpin turn. Well, needless to say, every single lap got worse and worse because there was a much greater margin in between me and the rest of the pack. My saving grace was there was some poor kid behind me that, thank God, he was doing worse than I was. So at least I wasn't going to be dead last. But every time I passed, I thought, my dad is standing there, and you could just see the disappointment. And this is such pressure, right? I knew that I couldn't quit, because my dad was definitely not a quitter. We weren't supposed to be quitting, and I was going to get through this race no matter what. Well, the other thing he told me when we were going out on the track was, do not crash into the hay bales. This is not a demolition derby, okay? This is a nice go-kart that I bought. And all right, so into the race, I'm trying to actually go across the finish line in a respectable speed because I've got this kid behind me. And the pits was just after the starting grid. So everybody was congregating right in the entryway, and I knew I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop, and I couldn't certainly zoom in there with chances of running into somebody. So I zoom around the flag guy. Oh my word. And I kept going because my thought is I'm going to go around the track, slow down, and then just carefully coast into the pit area. So I have a plan, but of course there's no microphone in my helmet. My dad has no idea. He thinks I'm joyriding.
Oh, gosh.
Like halfway around the track again, I finally see my dad. He has jumped the fence, jumped the hay bales. He's standing in the middle of the track, and oh my gosh, I'm so...
Now I'm going to run over my dad.
No, now I'm thinking I'm really going to get a spanking. Because I'm like, oh boy, I'm in trouble now. And I've all these things, don't hit the hay bales, don't do this, don't do that. Okay. I decided I had no choice but to run into the hay bales, stop and own up to what was going on and tell my dad, hey, I didn't quit. And it actually was funny because he's running over, waving his arms. What are you doing? And I told him, I said, Dad, the brakes don't work. And he looks down, and there was, the cotter pin had broken, or some problem. So, and the brake pedal's flopping, and okay. So I was clear at that point, and he didn't say a word. I didn't get yelled at or anything. I mean, at that point it was like,
well, yeah, what could he say? Yeah.
Okay. So my funny, and I've thought of this, many times in my life, is when all else fails, hit the hay bales. So maybe that's another mantra.
If all else fails, go into the hay bales. Yeah, it even rhymes a little bit. So I think that worked. What a hilarious story. Wow. Well, that's much better than my go-kart brake failure. I basically took off in a go-kart the top of my street, went racing down the street, and as I got towards the big intersection street that comes across, pushed in the brake pedal, nothing happened. And I realized, what do I do now? I'm going, I don't know, however fast a go-kart goes. Went right through the intersection. Thank goodness there were no cars, and went right into the neighbor's garage door. And just boom. Yeah, it just destroyed the garage door, the area.
Crash dummy.
Yeah, I was the crash dummy. There were no hay bales, unfortunately. So, Yeah, check your brakes before you start the race. Most definitely. Very important.
Yeah.
Well, let's have a little bit of fun and talk about your first really special vehicle. Maybe not that go-kart. That wasn't quite so cool. And maybe a memory you have about that ride.
Well, my first car, that of course was not my first car, but was my dad's, was that 64 Impala. And it was a Super Sport 2-door hardtop. And it was painted ember red, but it was like a maroon. And anyway, so he had that in the garage, and my brother Derek and I would even get in the car and we would pretend like that we were drag racing and shifting and all of this in the car. And again, that carburetor smell, that garage smell, that was just a really special time. And I think it really gave me an appreciation for kind of classic cars and some American muscle stuff. Yeah, a little bit.
Absolutely. Is there a vehicle you've had in your life that you wish you could get back?
I think that might be it. I really do. I think that would be a neat. It just has memories, fond memories from my childhood.
Yeah, no doubt. Very cool. Well, I'd love for you to share with our audience more about what you do, Brushed, because when you and I first connected, I think it was pretty cool because my understanding is your father is the one that suggested you listen to me, which is very, very special. And I'll let our listeners know tomorrow, the day we're recording this is obviously a month or so before the show goes up, but tomorrow is the anniversary of the first year you lost your father. So my condolences for that. I lost my father recently as well, and so I understand in some respects what you're going through, but I think it's pretty cool that you and I are now connected. We're doing a show because your dad introduced me to you in a sense, and now we're like good friends and buddies and friends, and you're an alumni here on Cars Yeah. So a shout out and a look to the heavens, no doubt, to your dad, and a big smile for him. No doubt he's looking down and smiling on you today. And that's pretty darn cool. But I'd love for you to share what Brushed is to you, the kind of business that you created here. And I know we share some mutual friends, too, in the automotive world, the Ingrams, which is pretty cool. Rod's been a guest, and his father, Robert's been a guest here on the show. So tell me what Brushed is for you and how that relates in some different ways to the automotive world.
Well, most of the work that I do, I kind of cut my teeth both in decorative finishing and also in restoration work. And I really started restoration with a conservator when I lived in Florida. So I was doing some work with fine art, picture frames, and then my fine finishing work, of course, faux finishing. We'll use that term very lightly, but a little bit beyond that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm going to interrupt shortly because we're doing a Skype call so we can see each other, which is really a cool part of podcasting. But behind Natalie looks like an old wooden barn door. It's beautiful. Just looks absolutely awesome. And when we started, she said, well, I painted this. It's all kind of imaginary, in this fall finish, it's just really cool. I mean, the level of work that you do is mind blowing to me.
Well, thank you very much. It is exciting, and I love sharing it. And now my work has gotten a little bit into the car restoration work or detailing. And so when I lived in Florida, I did a Burl Dash in a 50s American car, and I want to say it was like a Chevy. I honestly at that time I didn't even. No, and I have photographs of that somewhere, and I think one of these days I'm going to find those, and I'm probably going to be mortified because my skill level has changed so much that was probably just terrible. But I've also done a little bit of other detailing, and I really love cars. I think it's really super neat, and when I have an opportunity to work on something like that, it's really special.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, let me have you explain to the listeners the other side of your business where. Why would I call you, and for what reason, and why would I hire you to help me with whatever my needs were that you can fulfill? I guess is the best way I can describe it.
So I have a design arm to my business now. So I'm doing a lot of redesign work, and that's how I was called in to do the Goodyear dealership. So we did a complete renovation with contractors, electricians, everybody. It was done in 3.5 days, much like an HGTV style renovation, and completely took them from about a 1970s showroom, really bare bones, cinder block walls, the whole deal, into a really beautiful place that when people walked in the first of the year, they were actually walking in and then stepping back out because they didn't think they were in the right
Where
place.
am I?
Yeah.
Wow.
So restoration work as well as design and the decorative finishing. So there's quite a bit. Anything that can be painted at this point, I can do it. So
there you go. And for people to find out about you, your website is?
I do have a website that is affiliated with Houzz, and that is brushedartist.houzz.com. And really the best place to follow me right now is Instagram and Facebook. And I'm also under Brushed Artist there.
There too. Awesome. Cool. I'll make sure I put links to those on Natalie's show notes page on the Cars Yeah website. Well, Natalie, up next is the last lap before we put the pedal to the metal and before we hit another hay bale. I want to say thank you to today's Cars Yeah sponsors. What's the worst thing for your car's interior? No, it's not that milkshake the kids spilled in the back seat. It's the sun. Harmful UV rays cook your automobile's interior hour after hour when it's parked outside, even on a cloudy day. What's the solution? Covercraft sunscreens. They protect your dash, seats, and interior finishes from those damaging UV rays while keeping the interior temperature tolerable, even on the hottest summer days. No more painfully sizzling seats and steering wheels for you. They unfold quickly and easily install, stay where you put them, and are custom patterned for an exact fit. The foam core acts as a cooling insulator, and you can get yours in different colors and finishes. And they even fold up easily and store under your seat or on the floor. I've used Covercraft sunscreens for years, and they are a fast and easy solution that protect my beloved cars when they're not in the garage. Learn more and order yours at covercraft.com. Want to protect your entire vehicle? Get a car cover from Covercraft. They have those too. That's covercraft.com and tell them Mark sent you. Are you looking for a way to get your products or services into the ears of thousands of automotive enthusiasts around the globe? I can help. This is Mark Green here at Cars Yeah, and I'd be honored to be an influencer and ambassador for your brand in a unique and personal way. 5 days a week, thousands of subscribers and listeners enjoy the Cars Yeah podcast and website. Contact me today and I'll show you how at mark@carsyeah.com or connect with me through the Cars Yeah website at carsyeah.com. Hey, Mark Green here from the Cars Yeah podcast. Did you know you can now see me on the Cars Yeah TV show? That's right. Cars Yeah is now on MAV TV. I visit some of the past Cars Yeah guests and take you along for the ride. Go to mavtv.com to learn more where you can enjoy Cars Yeah TV. MAV TV is also available on DirecTV, Fubo TV, Fios by Verizon, or you can stream it through mavtv.com online. And they said I only had a face for podcasting. All right, Natalie, we are back, and I have a very introspective question for you. And I like asking this question of guests who are artists because it was an artist that I had on the show very early who suggested I ask people this question to kind of bring out how they feel about themselves. So here we go. If you woke up tomorrow and you were manifested into a vehicle, and you've heard a lot of these because you've been listening to me for a few years, what would Natalie be and why?
Oh my gosh, I would be a Mini Cooper S.
Cool. And why a Mini Cooper S?
Well, I cannot fit a ladder in it. Or my scaffolding, but I think because they're tiny but mighty.
Yes.
Nice little surprise. Yeah. So I think that's and actually I have to give a shout out to Ramsey Potts.
Oh, Ramsey. Yeah.
I actually called him to say, I don't know what the answer to this is. And Ramsey says, well, that's a personal question.
I can hear him saying that.
But I told him, he's like, only you can answer that question, Natalie. I can't answer that. I said, no, but just help me just so I get just the right one. So I made my description and he said, yeah, duh. Of course I'm Mini. Hello. So.
I like it. Yeah. Ramsey, of course, a past guest, good buddy of mine. Awesome guy. Eternal smile on his face. Eternal optimism. What a wonderful guy. So, and shout out to Ramsey. Yeah. And the hat. Yeah. Always. You know, I just told him I don't even dress up anymore because I'll never compete with him. So I don't worry about it. But, yeah, he's an awesome guy. So shout out to you, Ramsey. Very nicely done of pushing Natalie to come up with her own answer. I like that. My daughter's a very petite, woman, and we gave her a Mini Cooper when she was younger, and her license plate was fun-sized, like the little candy bars, so fun-sized. So I always thought that was appropriate. The Mighty Mini, yes. And of course, a great guest of mine and also a very proud sponsor of mine, Christopher Kimball, has been supporting me for some time. He's a local financial consultant here in the Pacific Northwest. He's like 8'9" or something. Fair to me, everyone's tall, but he's super tall. I wouldn't say he's 8'9", but he's very tall. Let's put it that way. He's probably laughing now because he listens to this show. And he drives a Mini Cooper. And I always say, how do you get in there? But all of us who drive Mini Coopers will realize once you get in, it's like incredible amount of space inside those cars.
Yeah, like a Volkswagen Bug, probably. Similarly.
Kind of the same. Yeah, kind of the same. Very cool. All right, we're up to the last lap. You've heard this one before. I'm going to fire off a series of questions and ask you to give our listeners some very quick blips of that mini throttle. So here we go. What's the best automotive advice you've ever received?
Check your oil.
Yeah, absolutely. Is that from your dad?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have air in your tires, and have you checked your oil? The
air in the tires is a key one. And I tell you, I'm very picky about that. And every time I take my car in for service, the guy that works in my car always says, I think you're the only guy who brings his car in here that the air is always accurate. Everybody's air pressures are down 5 to 10 pounds, sometimes more, because people just don't check it. And it's so important for your safety. So please, especially in the winter, you tend to lose tire pressure much quicker. So check those temperatures or pressures, I should say. Temperatures, that's for the track. Check the pressures in those tires often, at least once a month. How about a personal habit? Is there one that you believe has helped contribute to your many successes?
I think just tenacity. I think that's, I guess I'm a stubborn kid. I've been that way, my whole life. And especially when somebody says you can't do it, then, oh boy, look out. I'm going to absolutely prove you wrong. If it's really something I believe in, I'm going to show you.
Yeah. Well, it's something I've learned after 1,200 plus guests here who are entrepreneurs is tenacity is a key to entrepreneurship. You've got to have tenacity, that grit, stick-to-itiveness, as they say. You just got to keep going. How about a resource? Is there one that you'd like to share with us?
Everyone says this, but I use it so frequently that I can just fall in line with everybody else. But YouTube is so great for being able to access so much information today. And there's so many great people that add to that platform regularly. So you're really able to get some on point information that oftentimes it's just a real person, just like you and me, that is posting something, and it's not necessarily sponsored, but it's really good information.
I've learned so much from YouTube. I'll tell you a funny story about youth and old age here. My son, when he was younger and learning how to drive, he'd already learned how to drive, but he had a 3 Series BMW, and one of the turn signals was out. So I thought, ooh, good father-son bonding. Go in the garage, change the light bulb, right? Everything you dream about when you're a parent. And we opened the hood and I looked down and I'm like, how the heck do you get to that? And so we're looking at it and I go, well, there's got to be some way. And I'm fiddling around. He's standing behind me and he reaches around me, holds the phone in front of me. And he goes, watch this tutorial, Dad.
That's fantastic.
Well, there was this little hole that you just put a screwdriver down in and move it and it pops the whole light out. I may have figured that out eventually, but I'm old school. There's screws somewhere. You undo them and you pull it out, right? But not on the newer cars. So, YouTube is incredible. That's how I learned how to podcast, how I learned how to record. I spent hours in the middle of the night watching things. You got to be a little careful because some of the stuff people put out there is not very accurate and a little dicey, but caveat emptor because it's free, right? If I could arrange for you to have a drink with anyone in the automotive industry, living or deceased, who would it be?
Lyle Fisk.
Ah, the pinstriper.
Yes. So he
and
was.
Why Lyle?
Well, he steady hand, definitely had an amazing steady hand. And he set up in the back of a sign shop and would pinstripe. And so I've seen articles on him. And in fact, I think he was really the first person that I learned about that did pinstriping. I would love to sit down and maybe have 2 or 3 drinks, perhaps coffee. Coffee might be a good one, and practice. I think that would just be so fun to really learn from a master and how to actually do things a little better than how I've learned them.
Remember when my son was little, I took him to a car show and there was a pinstriper there who was pinstriping stuff for people. And you could toss him $10 and he would pinstripe tennis shoes or, lunchbox, whatever you had there. And I remember my son asking him, how do you do that? And he just looks up at him. He's an old crusty guy and he goes, practice, kid, practice.
Oh, it is. It's just like my graining and marbling. And it's true. I actually had one of my mentors tell me recently, I haven't seen you post any pictures of your graining and your marbling practice lately. That's really important. And he's so spot on, because it is. If you don't practice those basics regularly, you kind of lose something there.
It's the same for so many talented people in my show. It's like authors, writers, journalists, artists, whatever kind of form they do, is you just have to keep doing it every day. Even when you're not in the mood, you get up and you do it and you do it, you do it. That's how you get good. Very few people are masters overnight. And even when you think back to the great artists throughout history, they had to pick up a brush the first time and they had to hone their craft and their skill as they grew and as they changed. And especially when you look at artists who are very famous and how they changed their styles. Even Jackson Pollock, people go, what kind of artist is that? He just splatters paint. Go back and look at his early art and where he came from and how he got to that point, and you'll have a lot more appreciation for his so-called art splattering. We should all be so good at that. How about a book? Is there a book you've read that our listeners might enjoy reading as well?
Well, since we are going to be sharing this in Women's History Month, I do have a female author and more female-guided book that's by Rachel Hollis, and it's called Girl, Wash Your Face. And it recently came out, and I read it, and it's very motivational. It's definitely more geared towards women and just having more confidence in yourself and moving forward.
I love that. I've not been recommended that book, so I'll have to look that up, read it myself, and perhaps pass that along to my daughter. Sounds like a good one. So very cool. Well, I'll remind our listeners you can enjoy all these great references that Natalie's been so kind to share on her very own Cars Yeah show notes page. Just go to carsyeah.com, type in Natalie Tackett, Tackett, and that page will pop right up. All right, Natalie, we're up to the checkered flag. Being a regular listener, you know what this means. Today, I get to buy you a cool car, a cool collector car, but there's a couple rules to the game, as you know. You can't sell it to buy a bunch of art supplies or another car with or a bunch of toys. You got to keep it. It's not meant to be a garage queen. I want you to get out and enjoy this car in the spirit of your father. And it's the only cool collector car you can have in your garage. So you need to choose very wisely. So what can I buy you today?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think this is going to be a first too. And cool. That because somebody currently owns the car that I know.
Oh, okay.
So I think what's going to happen is we're going to have to somehow or another share custody, because they might be really mad at me. But the reason I love it is it's a 356 Porsche, and the gentleman who owns it his name is Ed Lawrence, and he is on Instagram. I think it's the Ed Lawrence, and he takes his fantastic little red 356 named Pepper out for rides. And he films it, but he takes this car out and drives it probably several times a week. And it's just wonderful to me, because I know that these cars were built to ride and drive. And so, yeah, no garage queen there. This is just the cutest little car. He's had luggage made for it, custom seats. It's a beautiful little car and little ride. And so I did tell him that this was going to be my answer to your question, and he was floored. He says, "No, well, how can you? Well, it's going to be a priceless car."
Yeah, the price just went up now that he knows I'm coming with my big checkbook. Yeah, thanks. You shouldn't have said anything until I offered him something, because otherwise this is going to get pretty pricey, I think. Oh my gosh,
it's really ugly, isn't it? Yeah. No.
Yeah. I have to look him up. I'm not familiar with him. Do you know by any chance what year that 356 is? No, that's okay, because he's easy to find. We can look him down. I tell you, I got to spend some time last week at the California Automobile Museum shooting an episode of Cars Yeah TV show, something new for me that's just launched this year on MAV TV. And one of my past guests, Joey Giordano from Straight Up Dubs, he restores old Porsches and 356s. He was nice enough to procure a 64 Porsche 356 from Ty and Monica Beekman. They live in Placerville, California, and they have a car they've had forever. And he brought that car over, and we shot me driving that car and driving up to the museum in that car. And I know why you love 356s. I love them too. I had not driven one in quite a long time. I've always wanted to have one in my garage, but they've become quite expensive in the years past. And of course, I always want the best one. So that makes it even more challenging, but they're a blast to drive. You know, they just bring back my youth being in my Karmann Ghia and cruising around Southern California and stuff. So I'm going to give Ed a call. Now that he knows I'm coming, this is going to get, like I said, pretty pricey, but I think you'll look pretty cool driving around in that 356 Porsche named Pepper. I think that's pretty cool too. Awesome choice, Natalie. I think a person of your character and terminal smile on your face is going to be very happy, and a Porsche 356 is just right. Absolutely. You've taken me on an absolutely spectacular ride today. Really enjoyed getting to know you better. Want to thank you for sharing your journey and for listening to Cars Yeah for the last 2 years. That means the world to me. To be able to have an actual listener who's gotten to know me that way on the show and share your story with my listeners. Could you offer us one little parting piece of wisdom or guidance before you pepper off into the sunset in that beautiful 356 Porsche?
Oh my gosh. Just keep your relationships with all of your other car enthusiasts, because I think that that's such an important part of life, and it's so special because we build so many great friendships. And it's almost as important as the cars themselves.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've learned that over time. And you've heard this since you're a regular listener, Natalie. It's really not about the cars. It's about the people around the cars and the experiences that we get to have with these vehicles. It's really the magical part of the car hobby and the passion we have for automobiles, for sure. And again, what's the best way for our listeners to follow along with you and your world in Brush?
Well, the best way is on either Instagram or Facebook, and you can find me as Brushed Artist in both places.
Brushed Artist. There we go. I'll make sure I put links to that. I encourage you to follow Natalie. I think you're going to get a big smile on your face when you look at what she's doing, and hopefully one day you'll give her a call and have her do something very cool for you with her paintbrush. Natalie, thanks for being so generous today with your time and expertise and for sharing your incredibly fun experiences with me and the listeners. Until you and I talk again, I'll see you down the road.
Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome. You take care of your cars, but who takes care of your investments? Tune-ups aren't just for engines. Updating your financial plan is important too. Your GPS may take you from A to B, but it won't help you on the road to financial freedom. For that, you need a good co-pilot and a very trusted advisor. Chris Kimball, CFP, is just the man for the job. He'll guide you down that road without driving you crazy. For over 25 years, Chris has helped people just like you and me with their financial planning and investments. With a master's degree in financial services, he is eminently qualified, and he's a car guy too. Learn more at chrisvkimball.com or call 866-ON-A-PLAN. Securities through Money Concepts Capital Corp., member FINRA SIPC. CK Financial Services is not affiliated with Money Concepts Capital Corp.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.